Welcome to Pharmacy View, Technology and Pharmacy Business podcast series, where we provide regular interviews with pharmacists and key industry people within the Australian pharmacy and associated industry. In each podcast, we look to discuss aspects of pharmacy operation and how technology is improving or interacting with each guest's current role or pharmacy-related business. I'm your host, Scott Carpenter, and today's guest is sponsored by Shopfront Solutions, leading the way in digital marketing and communications, providing a cloud-based platform for pharmacies to manage all of their digital messaging and print-based collateral. For more information on the Shopfront Solutions digital platform, simply go to the website at shopfrontsolutions.com.au. Welcome to Pharmacy View, Technology and Pharmacy Business podcast series, where we provide regular interviews with pharmacists and key people within the Australian pharmacy and associated industry. I'm talking today with Kev Ryan, Lead Advisor for pharmacy.forsale. Welcome, Kev.
Hey, Scott. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And look, with all things technology, I guess I stumbled is probably not the right word, but I came across yourself and became very intrigued with your pharmacy.forsale platform. But before we go too far down that channel, who is Kev Ryan?
Oh, well, that's a pretty easy question to answer, Scott. Thanks for asking it. I'm a tax accountant by trade and have spent my entire career in the accounting space. Jumped from one side of the desk in actually doing the work to then helping firms themselves, which we've been successful across a few service deliveries for over 22 years. But the bulk of our work for the last decade has been accounting practice M&A, so helping accounting firms buy, sell and merge. So we're transaction advisors at our core and enjoy doing that kind of work.
And where are you based, Kev?
Very blessed to have a family based in Noosaville at the Sunshine Coast. Although we work in Melbourne predominantly, we moved up here 5 or 6 years ago for a change of lifestyle with a young family, and until COVID had enjoyed the ability to ping pong in and out of Melbourne, but obviously only getting back to that now. But yeah, really blessed to live at the Sunshine Coast. It's a great place.
Great place to be, yeah. And so originally from Melbourne yourself?
Yeah, luckily enough to have had a career that's put me in geographical spots all around the country. But predominantly a Melbourne-based activity across my career, and very enjoyed a good period of time in Brisbane. So Brisbane and Melbourne would be our key spots. Although luckily with technology, which our podcast is about, we've got a global audience for pharmacy.forsale, and I'm really enjoying meeting people across the world. As we stepped into pharmacy for the first time. We're very, very new in pharmacy as an industry.
Yep, no, that's cool. So I guess let's talk now about pharmacy.forsale. How did this begin? How did it evolve? And I guess what's its direction and how is it helping pharmacists and businesses today?
Yeah, well, we got into the space, I guess, last year as a starting point in the .forsale company journey. We are looking to build out a number of industry-specific technology platforms to help people transact. And pharmacy had always been on my whiteboard because I have some great accounting friends that have predominantly pharmacy clients. And in speaking to them over the years and watching pharmacy transactions from afar, I thought it was an interesting space. However, to avoid, I guess, being a Me Too type product in a fairly well-established arena where traditionally pharmacists have been represented on the sell side, we thought there was an opportunity to help people on the buy side. So pharmacy.forsale is a tool we use for our engaged buy-side clients. And the whole idea of it really was to allow a younger generation of pharmacists access the deal flow. It seems in the current environment that the younger pharmacist is not always getting to see deals that come up, so actually see pharmacies for sale. And our platform, because it's 100% free for vendors, the methodology behind it is that they'll be smart enough to save their money, list their pharmacies for sale on our platform, and provide themselves a broader audience. And for the industry as a whole, we think we're playing a role in the next generation of pharmacy. And it seems to be an interesting time now with bigger corporates and where the thing might go. What is the future of community pharmacy? And we think that it should be in the hands of young professionals that have studied hard, worked hard, and now want to be business owners. So the platform is really a lead generator for the next generation of pharmacists.
Yeah, and look, on that basis too, and again, for people that know me, I've been around retail and pharmacy industries for far too long. Had a really good career, and I'm somewhat semi-retired and running across a couple of different consulting and also helping businesses at the moment. But I've got some really good friends and contacts who I'll call mature, wise pharmacists who have been around for some time in the industry. And we've got some great respect for each other. But like you just mentioned there, I do really enjoy interacting with younger pharmacists as well. And to a point, it probably comes from my own family situation. I've got two sons who are in their late 20s, early 30s. One's a master builder Victoria. The other one's actually works in the tech space with Real Estate Australia based in Melbourne. And so whenever we kind of get together for family chats, it's a real dichotomy chat between building houses and renovating houses for people through to what's happening in the IT space. So I get the best of both worlds. So if I transform that into the younger pharmacist set, from my perspective, you're absolutely right. The wise pharmacists of today we've done our time, they've done their time, and they're the ones that are potentially in a great place to buy pharmacies. The younger pharmacists are the ones, from my perspective, that are coming through with a different mindset, and particularly around technology. And I really enjoy my chats and interaction with younger pharmacists as much as the wiser ones. But because, as you indicated there, it's the younger pharmacists that are the future, and the wise pharmacists were young ones as well. So not saying that I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's just more about that new ideas, and particularly with the acceptance and the advent of new technology, you'll often get a greater uptake or a greater level of interest from a younger pharmacist set than potentially a wiser pharmacist. Is that what you're indicating here?
Yeah, and I think the technology piece we'll come back to because it's critically important going forward, because the younger pharmacist is on their iPhone more than our wiser ones, as you correctly position them. And I think what we're trying to do here is play a part in the obvious scenarios that as the older generation, the wiser ones, as you speak of, Scott, it's hard for them to turn back the easy money, and that's fair enough. We're seeing things valued and then going for sale at a much higher price. So the young pharmacist has a gap there that we have to fill, and we'll work out how the technology helps that in a second. But I guess without getting teary-eyed about it, we're hoping that that bit of grey hair wants to transfer that knowledge to the younger pharmacists. They had their start in the 70s and 80s or wherever it might have been. Let's pass the baton on and make sure that community pharmacy actually survives. And I think it's critically important to play a role there, and we're hoping our technology platform does that. And the way that I want to do that is to work towards two things: utilising the technology that allows the data to be shared, manipulated, and understood, so that people can quickly determine this is actually a pharmacist or pharmacy that is ticking boxes for me. What are the key metrics that quickly prick my interest as I'm scrolling on my phone? And I think it's never been easier for technologies to talk to each other. What we need to do once we prove up a minimum viable product, which is what we have now, is how do we work with the technology players in the space to take that data, put it into a meaningful way where a buyer can quickly determine, these are the metrics that are hitting my hot buttons. And I think that's the exciting part of this, is that traditionally, as I've seen, I've got probably 12 different IMs of pharmacies for sale hit my desk in the way that they probably should have for me to do my market research. And it's very old and tired. And no disrespect to the brokers out there, they're playing a very important role. All I'm saying is that going forward, we can go off a standard format PDF IM that someone emails out to actually be getting, using the technology and making quick decisions on real data. And that's the very exciting part. As an IM is arguably as old as it's been printed in its current format with brokers sending PDFs. If we had the opportunity to work towards real-time valuation, if you like, or real-time sucking in of data, even if only through the due diligence period or when people are really connected and talking, that excites me. The ability to use technology to do that would be something different.
And that's what, as you said, the .for-sale platform is all about. So I guess to help with the explanation, could we firstly just take me through what's the journey for a pharmacist looking to sell?
Very simple journey. They can either do it themselves directly on the site. They sign up for free, load up the key metrics following our fact find, and place the listing on the marketplace, which is viewed by our subscribed buyers and our subscribed accounting partners. So we have a number of accounting firms in the country that deal with pharmacy quite intensively that have supported us, and we're very grateful for their involvement to date. And we actually suggest that the vendor, the seller of a pharmacy, does get their accountant involved. For all the reasons they should. And normally in a transaction process, the accountant gets involved very quickly anyway. And so what we're doing is not saying that a seller should be there unrepresented. They have passed over the broker and saving themselves significant money in doing so, but they're supported by their accountant who they know and trust.
Yeah.
But then the listing goes up on the marketplace as publicly available information for our subscribed buyer pool to review. Again, it's the key metrics. They can click through to see then a broader description of the pharmacy for sale. It doesn't give any indication of who it is or what it is. It does have a geographical sector there that shows where it is. And then that's enough for someone to be interested and make an inquiry. It's a paid inquiry. It's $180 plus GST. To go past that point, make a connection, which is normally to the seller's accountant, to then spark up a communication. And the reason we did that was for two main reasons. Accountants representing vendors won't want to field 1,000 inquiries. They're time-based people, and the vendor won't want to incur that kind of cost. If the vendors representing themselves are a busy pharmacist, they don't want to field 1,000 inquiries from dreamers, tire kickers, and just those wishful thinking. So to actually physically put your credit card on and pay $180, it selects those that are serious. If you're going to spend millions on a pharmacy, if you can't invest $180 at the start, you're simply not serious. So the platform's not for everybody. It's for those that actually want to transact. Yep.
So again, if we go back to this younger pharmacist, which is to a point your target audience, not a narrow audience, but a target audience, you're suggesting then that they would be a registered user with the platform, with the .for-sale platform. They might get a prompt to say that a new pharmacy listing has gone up either within their key metrics, or they might have it set for just show me every pharmacy that comes up on this platform. And there's either enough there for say, okay, look, this is of intrigue to me, or no, it's not, too big or wrong area, etc. And but if it hits my metrics right and I want more information, I'm a registered user. And I guess where I'm heading to with this is that there's obviously a level of confidentiality around the business transactions, which you would be used to anyway. So the platform also manages that side of things, I'm imagining.
Yeah, so the confidentiality trigger point is once the inquiry has been made and the receiver of that gets a level of comfort in a communication which is taken off the platform and into, say, somewhere secure where you can record an email chain, or they might just pick up the phone and talk to each other. But at that point, before critical information is disclosed, the vendor and or their representative will submit to the inquirer their own confidentiality agreement before the real nitty-gritty is happening. So there's some communication in play between there. In version 2.0, we will have pieces of that puzzle in place. So it happens a little more seamlessly, frictionless. But at the moment, normal transaction procedures are in play. for confidentiality and privacy.
And again, from your business. No, I was going to say from your business background experience, this is what you've been dealing with around the confidentiality of business purchase and acquisition anyway. So this is quite common for you, and people looking to get involved in this should be quite confident that the confidentiality is there.
100%. Yeah, it's very secure in the way that the listing information is presented. If you might be able to pick which pharmacies are in a particular local government area, because we have to say where it is. So we use local government area territory maps as an indicator of where our listings are. If you're savvy, you might know who those are. You could guess, but we take it very seriously. That level of confidentiality and privacy. And I guess one of our value propositions to sellers is that this isn't information going on the ether. It's within subscribed platform where we've vetted buyers as well, as best you can, of course. So the communication is within a closed, like-minded audience of buyers and sellers that are serious about transacting.
Yeah. So again, if I come back to this journey, you've got a wise pharmacist that's been around for some time, decided to put their pharmacy up for sale. They may have already dealt with a broker before. If you've been around for a while, you probably know who the key or the main brokers are. Or ultimately, if you're not in that arena, your accounting firm would potentially have contacts within the broking business, which is what you've indicated anyway. You're already working with several accounting firms that deal with pharmacy, which is how this has come about. And I guess where I'm heading from this is that your wise pharmacist now has to either be guided or advised or in their own mind make the decision that says, I might still go down my usual path of a broker that I know, but actually I'm also intrigued here. I might list this on this online dot for sale platform. Is part of their now discovery journey, isn't it?
Yeah, we're open to all. We're keen to be friends with everybody, including the brokers. Brokers obviously won't have direct access to the platform, but the vendor, the seller, the wiser pharmacist that you mentioned, he certainly can directly or via advice from his accountant. So I think we are definitely a tool, and it's costing them nothing. So there's nothing to lose. There's only upside here for putting your pharmacy on our platform and getting more eyes on the deal. One of the things that we will look to do with the technology piece is bridge the gap between what the valuation coming in from the accountant is and what the market's prepared to pay. Because as you're aware, Scott, there's groups out there with deep pockets and trigger-happy checkbooks to pay overs, especially when it's coming to the lower end. We've seen things valued at 1.5 million that have sold for over 2 million because it's a hot market. And we're not trying to suggest that people should miss out on that upside. But what we would look to do as we progress with the platform is to use the technology around the data to make real decisions on what valuations are, could be, or should be. And then invite an investor pool to partner with the young pharmacists to bridge the gap. That to me is very exciting as well, is because then you enter into the world of crowdfunding and sourcing of capital. You might find that younger pharmacists team up to back one of their colleagues in a purchase and have an investment in that to help, and doing so bridge that gap between what larger corporates are prepared to pay and what a younger pharmacist should pay, which is currently is a gap. So again, the technology that comes from that data sharing, the opportunity sharing, is all going to fall out of the back of our platform, and it's tremendously exciting.
Absolutely. So if we then go to the journey of the pharmacist newly looking to buy, so they've heard about your platform. Effectively, it's an online platform. They're used to dealing with online platforms. They're used to dealing with technology platforms. So they register on your business on your dot for sale platform. Talk to me about their journey.
Yeah, so it's $18 plus GST for lifetime access to view the platform as a buyer. We then schedule one-on-ones with them to get to know them, understand where they're at in their buying journey, what their experiences have been, There's some good, some very, very troublesome because they've been ignored and they feel undervalued.
Yep.
We want to know, of course, who their accountant is.
Yep.
We think it's really important for people to be well advised, and not to say that the general accountant isn't got the skills. It's just that some of our accounting friends have got specialised knowledge, and you just can't put a price on that experience.
Yep.
So we want to make sure people are well supported, and then in that journey, also understanding how will they actually fund the transaction. A lot of sort of your 20-year-old pharmacists, 20s and 30s, are relying on mums and dads and family support, which, is not out of the realms of capability or nonsensical. So we want to understand how that is. A lot of young pharmacists have doctor parents, so there is tools to actually be supported. But understanding their ability to transact is important. We're working with a number of different banks, some non-traditional to pharmacy. There's the growth of new banks in Australia has been very interesting. There's one we enjoy a tremendous relationship with in our accounting experience, and we're confident that they'll come to this sector with us to help that as well. But on the funding piece, I think I come back to it because I am excited about it. Is the fund is a community, pardon the pun, fund to help people buy. But as soon as you log on as a buyer or subscribe as a buyer, we're looking to build a relationship with you. We want to go on a cradle to grave journey with younger pharmacists to help them buy not just one, but continuously buy and build out their future and their wealth through pharmacy.
Well, the next generation, as you indicated.
Yeah, I think it's important, and I'm not suggesting. I'm brand new to pharmacy and not hiding that. So it would be silly for me to come in super green and make a whole bunch of bold statements without the experience, and certainly wouldn't do that to disrespect anybody. But to me, if something doesn't change in the next 5 or 10 years, and maybe Scott, it's my advantage coming in with fresh eyes. I don't have the baggage or the legacy of narrow-mindedness, but I think if you don't support some of our young buyers, community pharmacy will end up with 5 big corporates. There'll be no guild because it won't have any members. And people won't know their pharmacists. Knowing people by names will just be a thing of the past. And not that I'm not for, the ability to deliver prescriptions through cloud-based advice. I'm all for doing what's best for the end user. And at the end of the day, that's people in our community that need the support of a qualified, caring pharmacist.
Yeah. So, Kev, we're coming to the end of our time, but I guess if anyone was looking to contact you, it's pharmacy.forsale, as in the full stop dot.
Yeah, www.pharmacy.forsale. So the dot for sale is a domain like a .com.au, whatever it might be. So the domain is .forsale. So www.pharmacy.forsale.
For sale. All right. And we'll include in the show notes your contact points, particularly around the LinkedIn perspective. So, and again, from my perspective, it wasn't that hard to get in contact with you, which is great from that perspective. Before we wrap up, was there anything else on your list that we haven't covered at this point in time?
No, the only thing I sort of suggest, Scott, is just because it's new and free for vendors doesn't mean it's not real. When we launched last year, we were blowing people's minds. And I guess that's a good and bad thing. And I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today, just to clear up some of the myths. Pharmacy.forsale is not a flash in the pan. It's supported by an existing, well-established transaction business. We're here for the long journey. It's not going anywhere. I can guarantee you that. So free for vendors is not a gimmick. It's not a marketing piece or a trap. It is 100% free. It's because we act for the buyer. And I think that's the key new thing here, is it doesn't seem to me that there's many people in the industry actively pursuing outside of the groups. The groups obviously have their acquisition guys out there and the promises come within groups, but the vendor's still relying on a broker to be part of that puzzle. Well, It doesn't have to happen anymore.
Yeah.
And yes, our key segment is the younger pharmacists, but we're here for everybody. We want to be friends with everybody and be of good service. So if a bigger group wants to expand into geographical territories they haven't before, we're not going to say no to them because they're not a 25-year-old pharmacist. We'd love to deal with them. What we are saying, though, is that we're questioning the rules around pharmacy ownership. And we think they should be enforced. And at the moment, from an outsider looking in, bigger groups hiding behind tricky structures, possibly importing labour. These are all commercial things that are happening. I don't know that's good for the future of this industry.
Independent businesses.
Yeah, we'd like to make sure that pharmacy stays community-based.
Yeah, look, as you're describing all of this, and it's a very common referral point, but I'm thinking back to the introduction of Uber in Australia. It was going to create the demise of the taxi industry, and to a point, it's changed the taxi industry, but the taxi industry hasn't gone away. It's just now that from a consumer point of view, we've got choices as to which way we want to go, and I think that's what you're saying here is that. That there's younger pharmacists out there that are the future of pharmacy that right today may not have the ability or the access to purchase a pharmacy, and you're providing a platform portal that could potentially give them that access.
Correct. 100%.
Yeah. Kev, thanks very much for your time today. It's been great to chat. I look forward to staying in contact, and we might have another chat in 6 or 12 months' time and just see how it's all progressing.
That'd be awesome, Scott. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. And I'd love to keep you involved as the thing progresses and improves. It can only get better.
That's great. Thanks for your time today, Kev.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you for listening today. Pharmacy View is a technology-focused podcast provided by Melbourne-based business Arian Technologies and Shopfront Solutions. Over the podcast series, our guests include pharmacists, retail managers, wholesalers, suppliers, and industry technology partners. If you would like further information on our podcast series or to participate in one of our episodes, feel free to send me a message or touch base through the Pharmacy View website, pharmacyview.com.au.